Hi guys, how are you? My name is Carolina and welcome to my channel. This is a channel where I mainly talk about cross stitch. I am so excited to be here. If you are new, welcome. Thank you for taking some time to spend with me today and see my stitching and just hang out. If you're returning, thank you for coming back to check on me. Although I have been on Flosstube since either end of 2016 or beginning of 2015, end of 2015 or beginning of 2016, I have taken many a break in that time. And honestly, this has been my longest break yet. My last video was in March of 2021. It is September 27th, 2023 today. Now, to be fair, I did floss, oh my gosh, I'm so out of touch. I did film a stitch with me last month at the end of August, but my actual proper Flosstube update video, not since March of 2021. Long story short, I had a big move and it led to a big break from stitching. I did stitch here and there between the end of 2021 and the very beginning of 2022, but no filming in like 2 years. So yeah, I did go into it a little bit more in depth in the stitch with me. So if you're curious, you can head on there for time's sake, and just to not be repetitive, I'm not going to repeat everything on here. I do also want to apologize. I've been sick. I was meaning to record this actually on Monday, but yeah, I was just so sick. Today I'm a little stuffy, that you might be able to hear. My voice is kind of but I do have water and I'll take breaks as needed. So yeah, I am so pumped. I picked up my stitching again at the end of August. No, that's not true. Mid-August, like mid-August 2023. And I'm just so excited, so pumped. Like, my stitching mojo is fully back. I don't entirely regret the time I was away. I kind of took up knitting. I really fell in love with it. I've got tons of experience, I guess you could say, in that time, and I feel very comfortable with it now. It's actually my third time, and third time was a charm because it worked. So if I have some time today, maybe at the end I'll share some knitting, but I might just keep this stitching because it's my first video back, and then maybe share some in future videos. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I have stuff to share with you. I have one finish in the last 2 years. What can I say? Not a lot of stitching, but it is fully finished, so there is that. So I have that to share with you. I have WIPs to share with you. I have plans to share with you. I have stitchy acquisitions to share with you. So yeah, I guess let's just jump right into it, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with that finish. Alright guys, so I'm gonna start with my whopping grand total of one finish. But like I said, it is fully finished, so I have that going for me. So this is the fully finished item. I stitched this for my daughter for her 4th birthday. She wanted to redo her room all unicorn themed. At that time we were like all unicorns all the time. She has a lot more likes now, that different TV show characters, some Disney princesses, just different things that she likes. But at that time it was all about the unicorn. So we redid her bathroom and her bedroom with unicorn stuff, and I'm like, I really want to stitch her something. So I jumped on Etsy and I looked around for a pattern that I both liked and could finish, because I looked for it in mid-January and my daughter's birthday is in mid-February. So yeah, but I found this. It's relatively simple. It's not too huge. Like, there's my hand, you know. Obviously big blocks of color. This is by a shop called The Stitch Patterns. I did do some modifications. Obviously the fabric is a colored fabric. It's actually a printed fabric, and I got it on Amazon of all places. I normally don't shop on Amazon, but I needed fabric like yesterday because I needed to stitch this right away. So I somehow came across this on Amazon and it was perfect. So of course I got it. It's a 14 count printed Aida with beautiful like blues and purples. And I also modified the pattern a little bit. So the skin of the unicorn was meant to be a light pink color, and the hair was like, or the mane was pastel colors, but I wanted something a little bit more vibrant to kind of match the decor that we picked and that she picked as well. So I wanted the skin to be shimmery, which I hope that picks up at least a little bit. I can't always tell. And I wasn't sure originally what I wanted to do. I thought maybe metallics, but like ain't nobody got time for that. Sorry, I'm thinking. Then I was like, okay, something I did with Mother Moon by Joan Elliott is I had one strand of cotton, one strand of metallic, and I used that. That gave a really good effect. It wasn't super hard to do, so I was thinking I was going to do that. But then I ran into my DMC Etoile, and I was like, well, this is perfect. I'm going to use that instead, and it actually worked out really well. So this is the Blanc Etoile. So DMC Etoile, in case you don't know, it's all colors that already exist, but with like a silver thread woven in with the cotton. So they do have a Blanc. It's not the bright white, it's not B5200, but it still does okay. And then for the mane, I used more vibrant colors of DMC Satin, which I know is not everybody's favorite, but I really like the effect. I like the sheen that it gives. So I've just kind of learned to work with it. It does fray a little bit easily, but I use short lengths. I do use a knot with this one. Very small, not very noticeable at all, but just a knot that will help secure it in place. And sometimes I wet it a little bit. I sometimes honestly just use the tiniest dab of water. But you know, you can use like thread conditioner or wax, but that helps a lot. So I'm really happy with this piece. I finished it in a silver piece, which I think goes really well. Yay! So yeah, that's my one finish in the last 2 years, but I'm very happy with it. So yeah, I guess we can move on to WIPs now. Alright, so moving on to WIPs. I have 3 WIPs to share with you today. I started working on these in August 2023, and I've been working on them through September. The first 2 are stockings, and honestly, I thought I was going to have 3 stockings that I would want to finish by the end of this year, and I'm so thankful that only ended up being 2, because if not, I really had no hope of stitching on like stuff for me. I would just be stitching on the stockings, but 2 I was able to do, mainly because one of them was already very close to the end. So the first one I have to share with you is Penguin Party Stocking. I think that's going to show without me taking it out of this pouch, but this is by Joan Elliott, but it's charted by Designworks as a kit. And it's an adorable little stocking, and I have quite a bit of progress. I'm going to show you. Most of it is in the Q-Snap. You'll see it actually finished really soon, so I'm really excited. This is it. I've actually finished almost all the cross stitches. The only stitching I have left to do is the name, and I tend to notice that if the name is in a part of the stocking that has no background, I'll do it at the end. Obviously, if there's background involved, I do tend to stitch on it at the beginning because I kind of need to chart it with the background and figure out what part of the background I'm not stitching, because I'm stitching the name instead. But if it's just blank, I tend to do it at the end, so I do have that left. But yeah, I'm so pleased. You can see the majority of the stocking here. I guess I can just, it's really not that bad. Let me just show you real quick where it's at. Or at least unroll it and you can kind of see the top there. And then the bottom. So yeah, I pretty much finished all the stitching, and I'm so excited because I basically started this in August. I had technically started this in 2016, but I've done maybe like 16 stitches of the top border. This was meant to be for my sister-in-law. She had one of the felt applique stockings. I've told this story before, but I know it's been some time. Basically, in my husband's family, everybody gets a stocking. It was a tradition that was started by my eldest aunt. She originally made like the felt applique stockings for everyone, but when she started stitching, she made cross stitch just because they tend to hold up a little bit longer. I mean, forever, really, if you're careful. Where the felt, it does get to tend to get worn. So hers was kind of doing that, but thankfully it was on the back. But it gave us enough time to kind of plan for stitching a stocking, because I told my mother-in-law, like, hey, I'll stitch your stocking, let's pick one out. It won't be for anytime soon. I'll maybe get it in the next 2 years. So I was thinking maybe 2017 or 2018 we'd surprise her, just because she had a stocking to use. But in that time, she started dating her girlfriend, and then they got engaged. So we're like, well, they're gonna get matching stockings when they get married. And this might be a little on the juvenile side for them. So I'll just save it. it will come up again. And it came up this year because they had a son. So this is now for my nephew. So I definitely wanted to get it done because this Christmas is going to be his first Christmas. So I wanted him to have it. And yeah, I basically like pumped this out in a month and a half. So I'm super pleased. I really thought I was going to be stocking stitching through like November. And I was maybe going to get a few hours to stitch on some of my projects, but really not a lot. But yeah, I'm hoping I can finish this by September 30th because then it would be like a September finish, and I'm doing kind of a modified version of WIPGO, and I've made this be the September project. So it'd be great if I had a proper WIPGO finish and actually finished it within the month it was called. But if not, you know, it'd be done early October, and then my other one won't be done, but that's okay. I think I can definitely get it done by October, so I'm actually going to have way more time than I thought, and I don't have to focus on a third stocking in that time. I can do a little bit of fun stitching for myself, so I'm super pleased. I mainly followed the pattern, but I made a few changes, mainly some of the colors. So basically for the snowman and the penguins, they had... Yeah, I'll make sure my face is not in there so it won't like freak out focusing. They were all charted in the same greens and yellows, greens and yellows and reds that's used everywhere else in the pattern. I just thought it was too much of that. So I just have a big bin of leftover floss from kits mainly, and I picked some of that and like kind of just added some variety in the color just to make it a little bit more fun. The presents were also charted in those same colors. I kept most of the red, green, and blue kind of hues, but I just picked slightly different colors again from like my floss stash, like leftover floss, just to give it a little bit of variety but not make it too hodgepodgey. And I did throw in some blue. This was originally going to be like yellow and red, I think. But I like using a lot of blue in the holidays, so I made sure that one was blue. And then also this here, this was like yellow, green, and red, and I thought that was too busy, and I've never really seen peppermint candy like that. I've seen red and green, but I thought it would just look more uniform, and the pole was already all red, so I decided to just make all of the sides red. Lastly, there's supposed to be a huge bow here, but I kind of don't like it, so I just left it off. But yeah, I'm so excited. I just have back stitching and beading to do and stitching of the name. So I'm going to be working on that today after I finish this video, tomorrow, and if I need to, a little bit on Friday, which is my birthday, and on Saturday, but I want to stitch on some of my projects on Friday because it's my birthday, so I might not stitch on this one. So we'll see. But yeah, so that is my first WIP to share with you that I'm hoping, no, that will be fully finished. Well, it'll be finished by the next video. I'm gonna have my aunt fully finish it because I still don't know how to use my sewing machine. Maybe next year, we'll see. But if not, thankfully, I now live near her, so I could just drive this to her house and she can finish it. Maybe she can teach me. I do have a sewing machine. I just don't know how to use it, so maybe she can just teach me. And my first thing can be learning how to fully finish stocking, so then I can just do it myself. But yeah, very excited about that. So my next stocking is my Enchanted Ornament stocking. This is a kit by Dimensions Gold. And I know there's a lot of glare there. I apologize. There we go. I got this in 2016 and started at the very beginning of the year. This is for my mom. And I used to say this project was the bane of my existence because it was so much more work than I thought. I was a newbie baby stitcher at the beginning of 2016, and I bit off way more than I could chew at that time. But I picked it up. When I picked it up in August, I was like, you know, this is going a lot faster than I thought. And it's not as bad as I remember. So I don't know if it's just like a combination of everything, if it really is that like most of it was done. I think that helped a lot, but also I just have more experience. I kind of know what to expect from Dimensions Gold. It does have confetti because of the trees. So like there's like 10 stitches of this green and 2 stitches of that green, and then like 12 12 stitches for the branch in brown. So I think that's what was getting to me. I had to switch so often, but it's going really well. So I'm very excited. I think I can definitely get it done by October. So I'm really looking forward to that. That is actually on my roller frame, which is on my Lowry, which is right there. But I did film a clip actually before I filmed this. So I'm gonna insert that here so you can see my progress. Okay guys, so this is where I am with the Enchanted Ornaments stocking. I am so pumped. The ornaments are done and I'm really almost done with the heel, and then I've got the toe left and I'm really in the home stretch. I think once I get the heel part done, I'm really gonna be excited about it. But yeah, I just absolutely love it. And I'm trying to zoom in here without causing any motion sickness. I don't have any back stitching yet, so I do have to go through and do the back stitching. I have had this rolled up for a while now, so I don't remember if the top half is back stitched. I think it's partially back stitched, but I don't think it's all done. So I'm just gonna get all the stitching done all the way to the heel, I mean the toe, and then I'll start back stitching basically like, I guess like that. So yeah. Okay, so you have now seen the clip. I have one more WIP to share with you. This is technically my oldest WIP, or it really is my, I don't know why I said technically, this is my oldest WIP, but for a long time I didn't consider it my oldest WIP because this was just like a travel camping piece, and my next WIP I considered my oldest WIP, but I just want to get this done. It needs to get out of here. It was started in like very early 2016, and I could have had the dates, but of course I didn't do that. Maybe when I share the finish, I'll go back and get the stats of when I started and all of that. But this is Bluebird by Busilla. It is of course very simple because it is for like travel and camping, and I actually did get to go on a camping trip at the beginning of September, so I was able to actually do some travel and camping stitching on this, but I'm also going to just, you know, be working on it. I actually had that thought back in 2021 when I picked this back up then, but I just dropped a bunch of floss. I'll get it in a second. But I just like, you know, stopped stitching, so that was that. But here is where I am. I've got all of the bird done. I don't think I have a picture of when you last saw it, but I just had like the middle toned blue mostly done, but I finished all of the bird, all the blue, all the yellow, his eye, his beak, the legs, the branch, and I started on the flowers. I'm mostly going one color at a time, but I don't know if I have enough out here on the hoop to do all the light pink all the way, you know, out. I'll try and fit it in, but if I can't, I'll just do what I can and then I'll move the hoop and do the rest of it. But yeah, I had originally was thinking I was going to be working on this till it was done, but I'm doing kind of like a modified version of WIPGO, which I guess I can show you. Yeah, I'll show you right now because this will also go into plans. So I have my journal that I started doing. This was really in 2018, but I had a different journal I was using in 2016, so I kind of migrated everything over. So I cut the page that I labeled my other journal in, and then I also did this in the other journal, but I just wrote it again because it just wasn't gonna transfer properly because it was kind of a cheap journal, so the paper was really thin and it was bleeding through, so it didn't look good anyway. But I have like all my 2016 stuff I just transferred over and rewrote with like the same type of writing faux calligraphy that I did. But what I really want to show you, so I have everything from 2016 to now 2023 caught up on here. So maybe I'll do a video going through this one day if you'd like, but the page that really interests me right now is my 2023 WIP Tac-Toe page. This was a great idea by one of the members in the WIPGO group. WIPGO, of course, looks like a bingo board with 25 slots, but she joined in August and was like, oh, I really want to participate, but it's way too late to really do WIPGO. It would be silly. But she realized there were 4 months left in the year, which means 8 projects because you get 2 per month, or 8 slots, and a free space. So that's 9 spaces, which is the same as a tic-tac-toe board. So I was like, perfect. This is what I'm going to do as my WIPGO. So I already knew the September numbers, but I really had to work on these stockings, so I just made the 2 stockings be the September numbers, but the rest is going to be a surprise. So I made Bluebird one of those numbers, and it wasn't called for October, so maybe I'll work a little bit on it on October, but if I do get close to a finish, I'll stop. I made very conservative goals. The stockings are both to finish, and the bird is also to finish, but everything else I did 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours. Because that's very attainable and probably something I can crush, especially because at the time I didn't know that I was gonna kind of get through those stockings so quickly. So I was like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna like be able to do a lot more stitching than I thought. So I have one other project finished, one other project on here that the goal says 5 hours, but I really would like to finish it. So if I don't finish it in those 5 hours, I'll probably focus on that. I really want to try and finish as many projects as possible this year. So if I do happen to finish, obviously the 2 stockings, the bird, and then the other project, I'll pick another one that I can try and finish, just because I really am trying to whip down. And I'll probably talk about this more maybe in my next video, because I'm a little bit more caught up now with everybody. Or maybe I'll just make a separate video where I like just talk about plans and what I want to do. But yeah, so I don't know how much I'll stitch on this, even though the goal is to finish, because when it does get called, I'm going to have plenty of time to devote to it. But if I do have time in October, after hitting my goals, because my goals are 2 hours for both projects that were called, and I'll share those with you in a moment, I can probably take this out and get it almost to the end. And leave it ready to go for when it does get called, and just finish it out and be able to focus on one of my other projects. But yeah, those are my whips that I have currently. So let's go on to plans. Alright guys, so moving on to plans. So I am going to follow my whip tack toe goals. I do have my stocking, the Enchanted Ornament stocking, so this one that I want to finish. You kind of saw where it was. I definitely can. If for some reason I haven't finished Penguin Party, of course I'll be finishing that one as well. But I am going to be working on my 2 WIPGO calls, which whip tack toe, which I have a 2-hour goal on each. It is a little small, but at the time I wasn't sure how much progress I would have on my stockings, and I thought I'd have a lot more left. So I was very conservative with the goals. I'll probably stitch a little bit more because I want to see more progress, but I do also want to finish some other projects that aren't necessarily on the goal to finish, like written down, but I know in my head I'm like, if I could get these done, that would be awesome. So I'll probably pull one of those and work on them once I hit the 2-hour goal. Like I said, maybe I'll stitch an extra half hour or an extra hour, but I think I'd rather pull other projects that I can get done and just get them completed so I can bring that whip number down. So the first project that was called was number 14, number 19, I believe, which for me was I Didn't Do It, a cross-stitch kit by Busilla. I've also seen them sold as a Busilla Heirloom Petites, which is kind of like the Dimensions Gold Petites, Treasures, Busilla Heirloom Treasures, which is like Gold Dimensions Petites. But this is just a plain old Busilla kit I got at Walmart for a few dollars, so I'm not really sure why it's been packaged as both, because it looks the same. So I am doing most of this. I just don't really like the pattern of this either chair or curtain that the doggy is peeking from behind of. So what I might do is I might do a few lines of just like this blue pattern, as if it were either, again, a chair or a curtain that he's peeking out of, just so it doesn't look disjointed. And you can tell that he's kind of in between this and this. I don't know, we'll see. That's kind of the idea. If not, maybe I'll just stop where the dog is and it'll still look like the blue is the background. So maybe I'll just do that. We'll see. It does go straight down, so I could do that and maybe just do like a solid line or something to kind of show the end there. But yeah, so this is where I am at. I got most of the blue background done except the little bit that's between his ear and his face, or her ear and her face, because this is meant to represent one of my doggies, Sammy. So yeah, I got most of the background done and a little bit of the ear done. So 2 hours of work, maybe finish out that ear, maybe try and get a little bit into the first eye that you see here. That would be kind of cool. So we'll see. So that is my first call. The second call was Northern Lights by Carolyn Manning from the Shooting Star collection. I know this isn't the greatest, but you get the idea of what it's gonna look like. There we go. Okay, and this is where I am at. So this is 1/1 on 28 count Monaco. This is the Monaco that used to be available at like Joann's and Michael's. They do have a Monaco there now, but I feel like it's not the same type weave, and I really like this. I know some people don't, but I really enjoy it. I think it works for certain projects, and I think it works really well for 1/1, and I just love how adorable and dainty it looks. These are the ends of the square, so I love it. I can't wait to stitch on it. I probably will end up stitching more than 2 hours on this, but that's where it is at. So yay! And honestly, that's really my plans for now. I expect I will be stitching on other things that I want to get done. I don't have any solid plans, so I'll probably just show you what I ended up stitching on past this in an October update. But yeah, that's really it. So we can actually move on to the Stitchy acquisitions portion. Yay! Hi guys! So for the last bit of my video, I'm gonna do some Stitchy acquisitions. It's a combination of Stitchy kindness, Stitchy gifts, and a couple of very exciting purchases. So I'm actually gonna start with the Stitchy kindness. So my eldest aunt, the same aunt that does the stockings, was cleaning out her house because she was having somebody move into one of the rooms in her house. And she has, I kid you not, a local yarn shop in her house. She also has some cross stitch stuff, but her main craft is knitting. And she gave me the chance to basically shop through her yarn, and even with all the stuff I took, she has so much left. So it's awesome. I will share knitting with you at some point, and maybe as I use the yarn I'll show you, hey, this was from that big haul from my aunt. But she did have some cross stitch stuff. Most of it was stockings, and it's just so many kits that are just like potential future stockings that I can't go through that whole bin with you because it's bananas. But there were some just straight up kits and a lot of little mill hook kits, enough that I don't want to go through all of them in this video so it's not too long. But I do have one I'm going to be stitching soon, so I'll be sharing that. So that first one is Christmas Jewels. I love this one. I've seen it a few times. It is beautiful, so I was very excited when I saw it. And I'm going to be stitching this in December for Dina Half Stitch Cross Stitch's birthday. She's doing like a start an ornament sale. So this is what I ended up picking. So yeah, super cute, very small, has perforated paper, has the floss, has beads, as well as a tapestry needle and a beading needle. So very excited for that one. The next kit I wanted to share is from Realist. And it is this one here. I saw it and I thought it was gorgeous. This one is interesting because the Ada itself is printed, and it looks like you stitch just the moose and the leaves hanging off of his head and maybe a little bit of the grass, and that's really it. You can see there's not a ton of floss here, and if I wonder if you can tell here, you can kind of see that dark, that's the printed part. So like all of this background is printed and most of the like grass and ground, but there's a few little grasses here that it's stitched. This leaves are stitched and he himself is stitched. So I don't know when this is gonna come out. It looks like the Ada is 14 count, so it shouldn't be too bad. Probably not anytime soon, but I like it enough that I think I will stitch it, so I'm gonna throw it in the kits part of my bookshelf back here. Maybe once I finish organizing all of this, because it's still a mess. I have not finished organizing this room. Maybe I'll go through them if you'd like. But yeah, so there's that one. And then the other kit I got from her that wasn't a cross stitch kit is this Set de Brodat. It also looks, let's see, Moldova. So I guess it's from Moldova. Interesting. And it's a beautiful Santa. So I thought that was super cute. It comes with a floss. It does come with Ada. What I thought was super cool is this is pre-gridded Ada. And I know that is a thing, but I've never seen that in a kit before, so I thought that was super cool. So I don't know, again, when I'm going to stitch this. I have a lot going on, but I think it would be really nice to stitch a Christmas piece that isn't a stocking. So maybe in like 2025, because I have stockings, to not just that one stocking that was going to be for this year, but is now for next year. I have, I think, 3 stockings for next year. One is like a 1/5 of the way done. The other one is like halfway done for sure. I remember, because I remember my last update was like, I got to the middle of the stocking, yay! And then the other one I barely started. So I can definitely do it. After seeing my progress with this, I'm just gonna have to focus on it a lot more. But I want to get them done. I mean, if I really need to, I can push one of those to 2025, but I want to be caught up and I want to be done. So I'm hoping I can do all 3 of those next year and be caught up. But yeah, so those were the Stitchy Kindness, so gifts from another stitcher. The other 3, well, okay, one is technically a purchase and the other 2 are Stitchy gifts. So I just got it for my birthday from somebody that knows I like stitching and got it for me. So this is Fall Fairy, and the reason I'm including it, even though I purchased this myself, is because they all go together. So this is Fall Fairy by Dimensions Gold collection. I got this in 2016 and I went to start it right away, and kind of similar with my stocking. There we go. It was like too much, and I remember I did a little bit of this dark brown here, and I don't know why in the heck, or maybe it was this side. I don't even remember which side, but it was either this dark brown or like a little bit of this dark brown tree. And I don't know why I started in the middle side. Maybe because I thought it looked easy. It was like simple 2/2 brown stitching. I don't know. But I usually start my projects right in the middle and the top middle, or on the top left if it's like a full coverage or something that kind of just makes sense to start there. So yeah, I'm gonna take because it's honest, I'm not gonna take it out right this second, but I know it's like 10 or 12 stitches of brown, so I'm just gonna take that out. It shouldn't be an issue. I should still have enough floss and start her in the middle. So that's the purchase, but the gift I got was Spring Fairy was the first one. I got this in 2019 for my birthday from my sister-in-law, and this hadn't been out. It was released either at the end of 2018 or beginning of 2019, and I immediately noticed and knew I wanted it because obviously they're like a series, and I was hoping that they would be, but at the time I started stitching, only Fall Fairy was available. So maybe it was like a one-off, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, are we ever gonna get Summer Fairy and Winter Fairy? Now I know there's a chart by the same, based off the same woman artist, the same artist, Ruth Sanderson, and it's called Woodland Enchantress, and I think it was released at the same time or close to Fall Fairy. You probably know it, you've probably seen it, it is familiar. And that's kind of like a wintry looking fairy, but the title is Woodland Enchantress, and we have Fall Fairy and Spring Fairy, so I was like, maybe this isn't the Winter Fairy. And I noticed that Spring Fairy has wings, and the next one I'm going to show you, if you haven't already guessed, the Summer Fairy also has wings. So I was like, maybe it's not because that one doesn't have wings, but then I realized Fall Fairy doesn't have wings, so maybe that is meant to be like the Winter Fairy, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out. These have averaged about 3 years in between for releases, so maybe in 2026 we'll see a Winter Fairy. I don't know. She does also have one other one, which is out of print. I'd love to have it, but if I don't, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But this is also, it's called Fairy Tale, and I found the worst picture online, honestly. But hopefully you can get the gist. It's like a fairy princess on a horse, or a princess on a horse, and there's little fairies at the bottom. So I'd love to stitch that. If anybody's destashing it, let me know. But you know, like, I'm not like, I have to have it. But anyway, the last one was Summer Fairy, and I'm fairly sure it was released this year in 2023. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I immediately added it to my wish list, and my sweet, sweet mother-in-law got it for me as an early birthday present. So we had a trip, a little family camping trip with the husband's side of the family at the beginning of September, and they surprised me with an early birthday celebration because my sister-in-law and her wife and my nephew was there. We were there and my in-laws were there. So they did a little birthday for me, which was so sweet because they don't live close to us, my sister-in-law and her wife and their son. So they're going to be here again for Thanksgiving, but they surprised me, so she got me this, which my sister-in-law got me Spring Fairy, and my mother-in-law got me Summer Fairy. So that's why I'm like, okay, this one has wings, Spring Fairy has wings, and then I realized Fall Fairy doesn't have wings. So my plan, on my birthday, I was going to start Summer Fairy. I knew when I got it, when she got it for me, that I was going to start Summer Fairy. But then I was like, you know, I am taking the day off, and I want to stitch, and I have Fall Fairy and Spring Fairy, so I am going to start all 3 of them. I'm probably going to devote at least an hour to each, maybe 2, because I will have the day to myself to stitch. They're not going to become active whips till 2024, which I know I mentioned whipping down, and then here I am talking about 3 starts, but honestly, when I start a project, I don't necessarily consider it immediately an active whip. It's almost kind of like the kit just being there, but it's now ready to go. But I'm super excited about these. I don't know what to do about Woodland Enchantress, because I don't know if she's meant to be Winter Fairy or if we're going to get a Winter Fairy in like 3 years from now. What I'm thinking of doing, maybe, since I already have these 3 going, and Fall Fairy doesn't have wings, and Woodland Enchantress is kind of doing the same kind of pose, but in the opposite direction, I think I might start her December 21st of 2023, which is the first day of winter, and then have all 4 going. I want to stitch it anyway, so I think I'm going to do that. And if we do get a Winter Fairy, then that'll be the final piece in the series, and I can just do something else with Woodland Fairy. I might not even be done with these by the time Winter Fairy's released. Who knows? But that is my plan. If you'd like to join me, I did put this on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to do this as a Sal. So it's going to be hashtag R Sanderson Dimensions Sal. I haven't done this in a long time, so I'm going to try and put it on the screen. If it doesn't work and it's not somewhere on this screen, I will insert it in the comments down below. I had a different software that I used. I used Windows Movie Maker when it was like still a thing. And when I came back to stitching, one of the reasons videos took me so long is because it was no longer a thing. So I had to find editing software. And I think I found it, but I've done some very basic editing, so I haven't figured out font yet. So I will try and figure it out, but if I cannot, I will put it in like the description box. So I do have a couple last Stitchy acquisitions to share, and that'll be a wrap. Alright, so the first share purchase that I have is kind of an unexpected one. I knew I purchased this, but I kind of had forgotten about it, honestly, until I started organizing my Stitchy stuff. And this is Oh Feathers by the wonderful Karen Kluba of Rosewood Manor. Oh, it's gorgeous. The colors are all my jam. I absolutely love it. This uses the Sulky, Petite Sulky, which is super cool because I hadn't used it before. So I was excited about that. I'm not a big Quaker person, but there are a few that I'm just like, that's the one that's for me. And this was one of them. I bought this when it was released, but I was doing a No Starts 2021. And although I wasn't stitching a ton, I was still stitching. So I'm like, well, I'm going to stick to that. But I had forgotten that at some point in January 2022, I did actually start this. Because at the beginning of 2022, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to stitch. Oh, I lost the Q-snap edge. And I made plans. I think I even planned out a WIPGO board. But it just never ended up finishing through. Oh, I need like some felt or something. That's why. But I did actually start this. This is on a 20 count mystery even weave I've just had forever. And it's perfect for 1/1. 1 strand of Sulky over 1 on 20 count even weave. So I have a tiny little start. I don't even have a start date written down. So like I said, this is going to be one where like whenever I pick it up in 2024, that's going to be the start date. So that was my I guess, latest Stitchy purchase, and I figured even though it's been like forever ago, I wanted to share it with you. So yeah, this last one, the excitement that I feel, I have been wanting this piece. This is like my unicorn, and finally I've got it. Really, I had two pieces that I wanted when I started stitching, when I didn't know OOPs were a thing out of prints and how insanely expensive, unreasonably so, they can get. And there was a time where I wrapped my head around the thought that I might never get to stitch these two pieces. One is a Dimensions Gold kit, one is a Busilla heirloom kit. They are kind of companion pieces. The artist is the same, but they're charted by the two different companies, which I thought was interesting. Just checking the time here. Okay. And I just got so lucky to be able to have found these. I'm going to show you the one I already had first, and then that might give you a hint as to what I'm going to show you. So this is Scarlet Wizard by Dimensions, and he actually pops up pretty often on eBay for sometimes really outrageous prices, sometimes okay prices. And I was like, maybe when one of the okay prices pops up and I have the budget, I will get it. And I got so lucky. We were doing a thread on Stitch Mania when Stitch Mania was still active about unicorn patterns, and I posted that this was mine. This was my main one at the time. And the other one I did, but I don't know why this one, I guess it was more popular, so for a while it was like my more unicorn, even though it popped up way more than this other one. So, but I posted this. I think it was, or maybe we were just sharing one unicorn pattern and I picked this one. And I got a DM and it was somebody who said like, hey, I have two. I bought mine at the time these were readily available, and then I ended up getting one as a gift. I will sell it to you for the price I paid for it, plus you ship it, which was, of course, extremely reasonable. And I was so happy, so happy. And I'm so full of joy that I get to stitch this. I did start him like either the day I got him or the day after. I haven't really stitched on him much since then. I stitched on him for about a week. But then I just had other stuff going on. So the other pattern is a companion to that piece. As I said, the artist is, in my eyes, the artist is Mouse Pinkney, and this one is extremely hard to find. In the time I've been looking for it, sorry about that, which is basically since 2016 when I started stitching, or 2015, end of 2015, I've seen it pop up maybe 5 times on eBay. I might have missed once or twice, but not a lot. I see Dimensions Scarlet Wizard multiple times in like a span of a year, like multiple times. This I've seen maybe 5 times. The price has never been extremely outrageous for an OOP, but never something that I was able to do. And the one time I actually did, it was an auction and I lost. I was so mad because I was on that auction till the last second and I lost. I was so sad. I saw one come on right around the time I started stitching again. And I had the search saved because even though I wasn't stitching, I knew if I saw it, like I would buy it. And I guess either I missed it or it didn't come up, but I saw this and I was like, the price was a little high. Again, not extremely outrageous, but a little high. And I was like, this is like, I can't just dole this out. Like it wasn't an amount that I'm like, okay, done. So I was like, okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to de-stash some stuff and then, you know, at least balance out the cost a little bit. And my husband, I was talking to him and telling him, oh, that pattern came on, like this is my plan. And he's like, just buy it. Like as long as you're really planning on de-stashing the stuff, we'll make the money back. So I did. And thankfully, yes, I was able to de-stash enough stuff that I was able to balance out the cost of this. So I felt really good about it. I hopefully made some other stitchers happy, and I got, finally, I know that was like the most long-winded explanation. Planetarius Busilla Heirloom Gold, just Busilla Heirloom Collection. So now I have my 2 unicorns, and that's what I was saying with that Ruth Sanderson fairy tale. I'm like, if I get it, awesome. If I don't get it, like, these were my true unicorns, and I now have them, and I just, I can't. This is gonna be my New Year, New Start. I almost started him right away, but I really had the stockings. But the other thing is that Busilla Heirloom has not figured it out. The threads for, this is actually Spring Fairy, but I had the threads in a different pouch for Dimensions Gold Scarlet Wizard. But they're, you know, they're sorted. Busilla Gold never figured that out. Or Busilla Heirloom, or regular Busillas either. They give you, I kid you not, a gigantic wad of floss that I have to sort. I have 2 other Busilla Heirloom kits. I had like 6. And after sorting the first 2, and I'm like, I am done. These other 2, like 3 or 4 that I had, I was like, I can live without these. I destashed those years ago because I'm like, there was no way. It was really hard. The way the lengths are, they're like in 2-yard lengths, but the way the chart lists them, it's like, not the 2-yard lengths, it's how many, I don't remember exactly, but it was complicated. And the colors are not super easy. Even though it comes with this card to help you sort it, it's still a picture. And sometimes the colors don't actually match up. So I have to sort that thing. And then I can start stitching it. So I think I'm going to make that project for December and make this my New Year, New Start. But I am so excited. So excited. So sorry about that, guys. Sorry if the light looks different too. It's much later at night. My battery just like died and I hadn't noticed. So yes, like I said, I'm so happy. The excitement I feel over Planetarius, I'm just still in shock that I have them. I cannot wait to start. It's either going to be December 31st or New Year, New Start. I have to sort his threads. I'm not really looking forward to that, but I have to get it done so I can stitch him. Yeah, definitely going to be enjoying him in 2024 along with Scarlet Wizard. Oh, that's not Scarlet Wizard. That's the stocking. Along with Scarlet Wizard. I definitely have to make time and include them in my plans for 2024 because I love them. I'm not in a rush to finish them because I want to enjoy them for so long waiting. I mean, this one was like, what, 4 or 5 years, and this one was like 8 years. It took 8 years until I got this. 5 to 6, 8. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of them. They're those kind of projects that you want to stitch on, but you don't want them to end. So I'll look forward to getting a little stitching on them next year. But yeah, that pretty much wraps this up. I'm sorry if my voice got a little icky at times. I'm still getting over getting sick, and like my throat and voice are starting to really complain. So I gotta wrap it up, but I will see you guys soon. I'm thinking 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I hope that pans out. So that's really it. I might have said this already, and if I did, I might just edit this out. Or I might just leave it. I don't know. I apologize if I repeated it a lot. But don't forget Ruth Sanderson Dimensions Sal. You can join me later. It's okay if you didn't see this till after my birthday, but I would love to see you if you have this piece and you include that hashtag, or one of the pieces and you include the hashtag. I'd love to see it. I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and coming and stitching with me or just watching. If you get a chance, I would love it if you subscribed, liked, left a comment. I love the interaction, the positive feedback of that. I will respond to you as soon as I'm able, and I can't wait to watch your videos if you make them, see your progress on Instagram or Facebook, or just, like I said, chat in the comments and hang out next time. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great, fabulous, wonderful day. Till next time. Bye.